You might be thinking, I am so sick and tired of hearing about these weight loss medications, GLP-1, and all of that stuff. But today I want to offer a different perspective on this topic. And really, this is more of a mindset conversation that I want to have around surrounding this topic of the GLP-1 medications, Ozempic, Wegovy, Mounjaro. There's a list of them, obviously, but I'm not going to be getting into all those details. And we do have an episode where there's a couple of episodes, a few actually, where these things are discussed. So if that's something you want to take a listen to, then that'll be in the show notes. And Chrissy will probably go ahead and put that there for you to grab that link and go listen to learn more, get some more insight about these drugs. And I want to talk about this from a different perspective because I know many of us women, especially those of us over 40, who are frustrated with yo-yo dieting and trying to lose weight. We're exercising, we're doing our workouts, we're eating all the right foods, but we're still frustrated and we have this temptation that maybe, possibly, perhaps we want to take one of these weight loss medications because we're so frustrated and we're not getting the results that we want. But by the end of this episode, my promise to you is that I'm going to share with you how shortcuts fail us. And this possibly is something that you may be thinking as a shortcut. Now, obviously, for obvious reasons, medical reasons, whatever condition a person may have, a doctor may decide, you and your doctor may decide that based on your medical conditions or based on some other condition, weight loss medications is a great fit for you. But that's not what this episode is about. This episode is for you if you have been tempted by the idea, the thought, and it's bothering you, like, what if I just take this weight loss medication? Like, that'll just fix it. And you want to jump to that. And yet you have this internal conflict, like, I know that I want to do I know the long road is the road that I really need to be on. And if you feel this conflict, you feel conflicted in this way, then hopefully by the end of this episode, you're going to walk away having some clarity and know exactly where you're at. And so this episode is for you. Let's get into it. Hey girl, welcome back to our show. Glad you're here with me today. Thank you so much for tuning in once again. And as I said, I've talked about these GLP medications on other episodes. Feel free to go check that out so you can be fully informed. I know there's a ton of information out there. If you're on social media, if you're online, wherever, it's just we're being bombarded by all of this talk about who it's for, what medications there are out there, who it's not for, what happens if you take them, and all of this kind of stuff. I know, and microdosing. So I'm not here to change your opinion or convince you of what is right for you. But I am here to talk about this idea that perhaps you might be conflicted in, and that is you have the temptation, the thought is there that maybe this is what you want, but you have a conflict because in your heart, you know, or you believe for yourself that the right way for you is to take the long road, which is not really the long road. It's really the fastest road to the results that you're after. I wasn't going to share any personal things today. Side note, let me digress for a moment. I apologize. I was going to say this earlier, but I'm not going to stop the recording and start over. There are some personal things going on, some very, very deep personal things going on with me right now. So, all right, little lifey update. This is the big one. Those of you who have known me for a long time, or forever, however long you've known me, you've probably known about my dog, Fiji. She's been our family dog for over 13 years. She's almost 14 years old, and she's been such a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful family member. And we have come to a time where we're going to have to say goodbye to my Fiji. And she's not my dog. She is our family dog. And there's so many memories of the kids when they were, younger, littler. And they, Fiji has been a part of the family and they've grown up with her. And everybody is heartbroken that we know that it's time to say goodbye. I'm recording this episode on a Thursday, and I don't want to bring you down, but hey, you know what? This is life. Death is part of life. We have to face it. And I just wanted to share what's going on because I know some of you guys follow me on social media and you see my Fiji and you have grown to love her. And I just appreciate all of your love, care, and concern. So when this episode drops on Monday, I'll be over the weekend mourning the loss because we're going to be taking her in on Friday at 4 p.m. To do what do they call it? Quality of life assessment. And we've got an amazing veterinarian team that loves Fiji. She's very loved there and she's very comfortable there. So as much as I wanted to do kind of a home thing, I feel like this was the right thing for us. So we're taking her in tomorrow. She's not going to think anything of it like it's anything different or weird. Like it's just another place that she normally goes to. And today I got her her favorite big bone, her big favorite flavorful bone she can enjoy all day today. Tomorrow I'm going to give her some of her favorite people food, probably a whole chicken breast. Just let her have at it. I thought about a steak, but I don't know. I don't really have a lot of steak here to spare, but I've got a nice, thick, juicy chicken breast to give her. I know she's going to be so happy with that. And I had a wonderful friend online suggest some Hershey's Kisses for right before she falls off to sleep and crosses over the rainbow tomorrow. So I have those. And of course, it's dark chocolate because in our family, that's what we do, dark chocolate. But anyway, I just wanted to share that with you. This is a big life update. It's going to be a huge gap in our lives for a while. And, it's kind of crazy how these animals just become part of your family. So sorry, I didn't mean to get into the waterworks. All right. So thank you for all the love, all of you who have been expressing your care and concern over social media. I appreciate you. I love you so much. You guys are my family. You really are. And whew, thank you. Thanks for being there for me. All right. So let's get back into this topic. I really do want to bring you some valuable insight and some food for thought, pun intended, food for thought on this topic when it comes to weight loss medications. And so I want to make it very clear that this episode is not targeting you if you legitimately are using this as a tool because you and your doctor have decided that this is the right thing for you. And I'm not here, like I said, to convince you one way or the other. I think that it's a decision. It's a very personal, individualized decision. And I believe that we all need to remove any guilt or shame surrounding it, even those who are on it and using it as a tool. It's just a personal decision. And so anyway, I'm not here to convince you one way or the other. Really, this is not about that. This episode is about the person who doesn't necessarily have any medical conditions, isn't really dealing with any type of food noises or needing, counseling and therapy, like to an extreme or anything like that. But this really, I kind of, in a way, as I was thinking about this, as I was writing my notes for this episode, I started thinking, who am I really speaking to? And I think I know who I'm speaking to. It's sort of like the past version of myself is who I am talking to, because I say that because here's the thing. Back when I made my decision that it was time, like enough is enough, and I'm ready to make this decision and do it because I'm done with starting over and I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired. When I made that decision, that was I had gone through the frustration of losing weight and gaining weight and trying different methods of losing weight and never ever finding what was the thing that was going to work. And so if I reflect back to the person that I was, because right, my journey has caused me to become more like a new person, right? We're always becoming and evolving, and how I think today is completely different, right? But the person that I was would have no doubt considered weight loss medications, because I remember very clearly thinking, I wish I could snap my fingers and just lose the weight and then I'll be able to keep it off. And I also was thinking, I just wish I had a magic pill and I wanted to hurry up and lose the weight. And I know that many of you listening can relate to this. So that's why I wanted to sort of I'm talk with you, but it's like I'm talking to the past version of myself who would be thinking about these medications and thinking about it. There would be a conflict inside of me. If it was me, the conflict would be, man, that would be so nice to just snap my fingers, take the pill, lose the weight, and everything's fine. But hindsight's 2020. And now looking back on everything that I know today, now I'm looking back and thinking, man, if I could talk to that person and this could be you, these are the things that I want to share. Some thoughts, some ideas, some things to take away and help you clear up the conflict that you may be having in your mind over whether this is a viable option for you or not. So again, let me go ahead and go into this and talk about it, because that's who I'm talking to. I'm talking to the person who doesn't necessarily, maybe there's some medical things, but these medical things might not need a weight loss medication, may just need to start taking the proper steps to improve your health and improve your fitness conditioning, which will reverse these kind of medical conditions. Lots of research to back this up. I am a nurse, and I know there's a lot of things we can do to reverse some unhealthy conditions that we may have. And I'm not going to get into that. So let's go ahead and talk about this. We all understand what it feels like to be frustrated, inconsistent progress. We feel life is stressful and life gets in the way. Like we have a lot of responsibilities, and it's frustrating to have this one more thing that just seems to be dragging us down. And it's just like this weight, we have weight we want to lose, and it's causing us to feel this way, whatever it is, tired, fatigued, uncomfortable in our clothes, uncomfortable in our skin. And it seems like having that pill would be just instant control. And again, it's very, very tempting. Let's be honest. I would so be tempted if it was me back before, when I was starting my journey, or when I wanted to lose weight and I was ready. And so the mind shift here is that instead of thinking of this as, this pill, this weight loss med is a miracle, instead shifting our mindset to owning our journey. Because isn't it true that it could feel, or we could have this thought that, well, if I take a medication, then I'm not able to really own my journey. And let's not get into like you earning it, right? Like, because some people legitimately need to be on the medication. It doesn't change that you still need to have lifestyle changes. You still have to take certain actions to make this long term. That's still going to need to be there. But I don't want to talk with somebody and say like, you didn't earn it. Like, that's not what this message is about. So let's not go there. But anyway, the idea here in this episode is to discuss the difference in thoughts of a miracle, boom, let's have it right now, shortcut, quick fix right now, versus owning your journey. And when we can own the journey, then we can have long-term results without this external factor. I hope I don't have to keep going back to remind us. I'm not talking about situations, circumstances, cases where the medication is needed. Okay. So let's talk about the mind shifts that I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is these different mindset shifts. Dependency on something versus empowerment, right? Dependency on pills, something external, versus habits, patterns of thoughts that need to be changed, something internal, right? So going from dependence on something external to empowerment that happens internally inside of us. The other mindset shift is shortcut versus skill building, building habits on skills that are lifelong tools that you can use. Basically, things like habits of showing up to your workout, habits, right? Thoughts, changing the way you think about showing up, and then building the skills in whatever training that you do, building the skills in the skills in your nutrition, being able to skillfully choose your foods wisely, and and based on nutrition, not based on feelings and emotions. These are skills. So going from a shortcut, quick fix mindset to the skill building, I'm just going to do the quick fix, or I'm going to build the skills. And I was talking about this in a recent episode, right? Because for myself, when I kept going back to WW, that was essentially a quick fix for me, because it was what I thought simple. I'm just going to track these points. But what happened was, when I would get to some kind of result, I didn't have the skills. It was still a mystery to me what was happening with nutrition, because all I was doing was counting these points and fitting in foods based on these points. Any kind of food could fit those points. That was the quick fix. And when it finally made sense was when I realized that I wanted to stay healthy, fit, and I wanted to fuel this body for the fit lifestyle that I wanted to live. And the only way, and the most efficient and best way for the metabolism for supporting a healthy, fit body, is to understand macros, understand protein, carbs, and fats, and calorie expenditure and energy balance. That is the only way. And that is what I'm talking about when I say building the skills. You understand and learn it, you're able to apply it, and then you build on that. So you slowly build those habits, and then you master them repeatedly, working on them, practicing them. The other mindset shift would be going from an outcome mindset to a process focused mindset. What I mean is, rather than always focusing on the outcome being fat loss, weight loss, this outcome that's out there that we don't have any control over, which can be very frustrating, then moving our mindset to the process. It's process focused. We're focusing on the actions that we're going to be taking on a daily basis, rather than some kind of a scale number. Because as you and I both know, the more we focus on the scale, which really doesn't tell us anything except our weight in relationship to the Earth's gravity and all of our weight, it doesn't distinguish fat and muscle and bone and fluids and water in our body, right? So when we can change our mindset to changing from going from the outcome focused, that number, that weight on the scale, to daily actions, that's a different mindset shift. That's the mindset shift that would need to happen. The other mindset shift is going from fear to feedback. And what I mean by this, every attempt is data. It's not necessarily a failure. So when we are working on our skills to achieve said goal, said outcome, we don't need to be afraid of messing up or not doing it right. Instead, the mindset shift that we begin to have is, this is data. This is not failure. This is feedback. So I don't have to be afraid to fail, because the information I'm going to get when I take these actions is giving me very valuable feedback that I can now decide what I need to do differently. Adjust what I'm doing, make a change. It's like that whole scientific approach, like we've talked about. So that's the difference between having a fear mindset and a feedback mindset. So we're working on data. It's the data. We become aware of the data, we collect the data, and then we have the biofeedback. And what do we do with that, rather than going through our journey with this fear of the scale, like the scale going up? It means that there's something personally attached to us, like how we feel about ourselves, that fear. That's what I'm talking about, going from fear to feedback mindset. The other mindset shift that we need to have is quick results versus consistency, like the small wins, compounding instead of thinking. 'Cause I always think, it's interesting because I think a lot of women think that we always have to have these big achievements. And they're great and they're fun. And when I say big achievements, I'm talking like, and I've done it too, like where you train really hard for a long time so that you can, get across the finish line of that marathon, that's a big achievement. It's huge, right? And then after that, what happens? Kind of get into a lull, like kind of a low, like, oh, well, that's over. And it's just that one big achievement, but it's not lasting. And this is why myself as a coach, I'm always encouraging my clients, my women, especially in Rock That Fitness, to celebrate these small wins. I would much rather see you having small wins consistently than having big results quick and fast and then falling right back to square one. And so those are the mindset shifts. It makes me think, like, it's really true. I know you've heard this saying, and this saying to me, the older the older I get, and you probably are going to relate to this, but like, right, the older that we get, the more this saying holds true. If it's too good to be true, well, it probably is. Just like these weight loss medications, there is a cost involved. There's a cost. You still are going to need to monitor. You're still going to have to be overseen by a medical expert in this area. You're still going to have to adjust meds. You're going to have to adjust your nutrition, and you're going to have to consider long-term being on this medication. So mindset shift, that's those things. Next one, I was going to go over them again. I think I've kind of pounded those in the ground. So let's move on to the next points. The next point that I want to talk about, just to kind of remind us a little bit about these weight loss medications, just to remind us the things that we've been hearing, and just to reiterate and really drive these home, how they work, right? They mimic fullness because it's like mimicking the fullness hormone. I'm not going to get into the science. You can go listen to those other episodes that we get into it. But basically, what is it doing? It's slowing digestion, and also it does help a lot of people with food noise. So how it works, it's mimicking that fullness hormone. So slowing digestion. The evidence and the research is showing about 5 to 15% of weight loss over a period of 6 to 12 months. But this can be temporary if the habits are not built. We don't need to get into all of that. That can be, there's a lot of controversy in that. And then a lot of times for many people, they're going to be experiencing side effects, nausea, vomiting, constipation, and some other complications I won't mention. And then there's the cost, right? Especially if it's out of pocket, because there are a lot of insurances that are not going to cover the medication if you do not have diabetes or some sort of insulin resistance or a medical condition. They're not going to cover it. So it will be out of pocket for you, which could be anywhere from $1,200 a month, $1,200 to $1,500 a month. And then there's the limitations, because taking the medication isn't going to build muscle. It's not going to help improve metabolism. So that's a huge limitation. So we need to think about that. Like, we could, an example of, using this weight loss medication, you can think about this analogy, be like, wearing a harness for climbing up the mountain. But then as soon as you take the harness off, what happens, right? We don't have the support that's needed. So we need to be building muscle. We need to be exercising. We need to learn about nutrition and actually be implementing proper nutrition for the optimization of our health. And taking those medications doesn't replace the skills involved in that. It doesn't replace, you actually need to be doing resistance training to build muscle, all of that. So that was just a little, GLP-1 education for context here. Now let's talk about the long game. Here's the stuff that I love. This is the part. This is the highlight this, get ready. This is me talking to my former self back in the day when I was frustrated with weight loss and trying to lose weight, wanted to get it quick, wanted it to be over with. I didn't have that option, but if I did, this is what I would say to her if I did, and I was tempted by it. I'd be talking about this. Look, strength training. This is a habit that we need to get into, ladies, especially those of us over the age of 40. Now, of course, strength training is going to help us at any age, but for those of us over the age of 40, we're losing muscle mass drastically. It's going to happen. So we need to be strength training so we can build muscle to preserve our metabolism. Why do I say that? Well, because muscle mass burns calories, burns energy just in existence, right? We know this. I say this all the time, but I think we need to be reminded that muscle mass on your body is burning calories at rest because it is a living tissue that requires energy. When we lose that muscle mass, what's happening? Our body is burning fewer calories. We're burning less energy. Why? That's why we need to be building muscle mass to preserve metabolism. A pill isn't going to do that for us. We need to be protein focused in our nutrition. So of the 3 macros, proteins, carbs, and fats, we need to be focusing on the protein in order to maintain the muscle, in order to build the muscle, and a pill isn't going to do that. We need to be working on our behavior and our mindset, the things that are going on right up here in our mind, the thoughts we have that create the behaviors and the actions, which then give us our results. This is huge, and a pill is not going to do that. Even if you are taking the pill, you still have to work on building habits, changing behavior, and making it a lifestyle. You still have to do that. You have to learn how to manage cravings. You have to learn how to manage stress and deal with these things in a constructive, healthy way. Emotional eating, another one. You still have to do that because the medication isn't going to do those things for you. Only you can build those skills for your behaviors and your habits. Only you can do that. And you can do that. I just want to remind you, you have everything in you and the ability to do it. Just need to choose it. All right. Tracking and feedback. Even though a weight loss medication will help to lose weight, it just, like I said, it suppresses appetite, it slows down digestion, which in turn, you're going to be eating fewer calories, you're going to be losing weight, But you don't have the skill of tracking your food, and then getting feedback. So tracking your food, whether you do it in writing or whether you use an app, and then focus on learning your nutrition, right? Taking weight loss medications isn't going to help you learn about your nutrition, which everyone, if you want to have you want to have an optimized, healthy body, then it's important. You've got to learn your nutrition for your body. And I'm not talking about cookie cutter plans and meal plans and follow what so-and-so is doing. I'm talking about learning exactly what your body needs for you long term. This is all part of the long game. And the results of doing these things that I just mentioned, right? I didn't even mention making sure staying hydrated, getting optimal rest and recovery and sleep. But all of these things, resistance training, staying active, protein-focused nutrition, behavior and mindset, tracking your food, learning the skill, learning the foods that your body needs to be optimized, healthy, fit, and strong as we're aging, ladies. The result is going to be a strong, lean, and empowered body. Empowered because now you know specifically what your body requires. Empowered because now you know how your mind works. and you know what kind of things work for you and what you need to do, what mind shift changes you need to have in order to make this stick long term. That is empowerment. That's the big picture. Imagine yourself taking baby steps in these habits that last. Little by little, I'm going to say it, little by little, a little becomes a lot. It's that compounding effect. And these are all of the skills, all of the knowledge and the behaviors and actions and things you need for the results that you want to maintain long term without the weight loss medication. And you can do it. The problem is you haven't learned how to train your brain. This is the big deal right here. This is the deal. Learning what's making you do what you do, learning what's making you not do what you want to do, really coming to terms and being honest with what's happening and being courageous with your mindset, being courageous with the things that are holding you back and being aware and being willing to do it differently, right? Because if nothing changes, nothing changes. We're going to read that. I know that's what do they call it? A cliche. Well, it's a cliche for a reason because it's true. Nothing's going to change if nothing changes. So let's talk about what you might be thinking at this point. You might still have these thoughts and it's okay. Nothing wrong with that, but I'm going to address it. What if I want fast results, Anna? What if I want the fast results? Well, if you want the fast results, consider what's going to happen if you get fast results. You could get fast weight loss, but what's going to happen on the other side of that? You are going to not just lose fat, you're also going to be losing muscle mass. Okay. So there's no weight loss medication that's going to do that for you. So you can lose the weight fast, sure. And then you'll be at a place where you're low on energy. You've lost a lot of muscle mass, really have not even optimized your health. Like there's a lot going on here. So fast results, there's going to be a cost to that. And you're doing this at the cost of your health. People don't want to hear this, but I'm telling you the truth in love, girl, because I do. I genuinely love you and I care for you. And that's why I'm just letting you know. But you have options and you are empowered to make the decision for yourself. Just realize what you're getting into. All right. How about this? I can't, Anna, I cannot stick to a plan. Is that true that you cannot stick to a plan? Or is that a story like I talked about last week? I cannot stick to a plan is a belief that is keeping you stuck. If that's your story, I can't stick to a plan. Let's find out what's keeping you from sticking to a plan. And maybe your plan has had too much stuff to do all at one time. And of course you can't stick to a plan like that. Nobody can. So let's have some grace, some mercy for ourselves, because nobody can do that. The human brain is not wired to take on a bunch of habits at one time. We must establish one habit at a time. We want to build. We got to build the brick house with bricks, one brick at a time. So we want to start small. What is the minimum? What is the habit you want to work on? What is the habit you want to master? Okay, great. Now, what is the minimum that you are willing to step into and commit to? That's the change, right? You're going to be making a change. What's the minimum you're willing to step into and take action on? Not the big thing, not like the whole all or nothing, the minimum. Start there and begin to build momentum. That's the change we want. That's why you can't stick to a plan, because your plan is too heavy. It's too big. It's too overwhelming. That nobody can do that. Let's do this one little thing at a time. How about this one? But will I look good? Okay, because here's what happens. And I've seen clients and other people that I know that have gone for the medications and they're getting fast results. These results are not going to make you look good. Okay. You'll look smaller. You'll just be a smaller version of yourself. But if you're after looking healthy, looking fit, having some tone, muscle tone, definition, looking swole or whatever, cut in your muscles, girl, if that's what you want, this quick fix is not going to get that for you. And like I say, I've worked with clients. I've seen this where they lose a lot of weight and now they're like, wow, I'm smaller. I'm glad I lost the weight, but now I don't have any muscle. And what, we like to term this being skinny fat. It's like you are smaller, but there's no muscle mass. So your percentage of fat is high compared to your percentage of lean body mass. So will you look good? You decide. You decide on your own vanity measures or whatever. But here's the other one. You might be thinking, but I'm scared of failing again. I've tried everything. What have you tried? You've tried what? There's so many things. I've tried WW. I've tried Optavia. I'm saying that wrong. Somebody corrected me. One of my clients told me that's not how you say it. How do they say it? Optavia, Optavia, Optavia. I don't know. I'm not saying it right. Keto. What else? Low carb, low fat. I'm not even thinking about the diets, but they're all out there. I've tried everything and I'm afraid of failing again because these things have failed me. And doing this, tracking my macros is scary and I'm going to fail at that too. But let's talk about that for a second. You're scared of failing. Well, that right there is a mindset shift that we have to have, because the truth is, are you failing? If you have tried, if you're working on something, have you failed? And let me ask you this. Have you ever, quote unquote, failed at something? How about something that you're really great at right now? Are you telling me that you've always been great at it? Or did you mess up and fail a few times in the beginning, right? Is it failure or is it feedback? When we can change our mindset about this and be like, how about just give yourself permission to fail if you want to call it failing? I tell this to my clients all the time. Have you given yourself permission to fail? Because if you don't give yourself permission to fail, then you're not going to step into the actions. You're going to stay where you are. There's a cost, right? That's the cost. You're denying yourself of the results that you want, that conflict. You're afraid of failing, yet you're not taking action towards the results that you want. So you stay here. And that's a hard place to be. Very, very hard place to be. So what we want to look at this is that it's not necessarily failure. It's feedback. And what is that feedback? We don't need to get emotional. We don't have to put judgment on this. I failed. So what does that say about me? That I'm dumb? That I'm stupid? No, you're not stupid. It just says that you made an attempt, you took action, and this is the feedback you got. Now you have a lesson. You're learning a lesson. Change. There's no shame. We've got to remove shame, guilt, any of those feelings of feeling inadequate, not enough. And when we can get to this place, girl, you are empowered. You're empowered to give yourself permission to fail, and then life becomes a fun game. I'm going to keep doing this until I get it. I'm going to work on this skill. I'm going to get better at it. Do you think that people who have success through proper nutrition, through showing up for their training consistently, not perfectly, through taking these steps and getting skilled, doing the reps to get better at it and practicing, do you think that they got there by doing it perfectly the first day? Of course not. And neither will you. And neither will you be successful, however you want to define success, until you give yourself permission for the feedback. We don't have feedback if we don't take action. But I want to validate that this is very, very common. It's human nature to be afraid of doing something you've never done. That's normal, very normal. So when we can just kind of step aside and go, oh, I'm feeling fear. Why? Because it's something you've never done before. That's normal. That's your brain trying to protect you from being harmed, the threat of, getting hurt or being killed or dying, and you're not going to die. but you can totally acknowledge that, yeah, that fear is there. I can tell you, I deal with this all the time in my own life, but I recognize the fear is there, and yet I will commit to it anyway. Do it scared. And when you do it scared, what happens? You get feedback, and you can use that feedback to improve. Without doing it scared, without the feedback, you have nothing to go off of. You are staying right there, right where you are. Your choice, but own it. You're either in or out. Just own it, girl. All right, those are some of the objections I thought maybe we could discuss and that maybe were on your mind. Let's reflect on some of the things that we've talked about here. I'm going to be wrapping this up here now. Let's ask ourselves this question. Do you want short-term results, or do you want to own the journey? And I know that this is not popular, especially right now where it's on social media. All of this stuff is going there. It's out there. I know everybody's talking about it. I know there's do this and do that. And by the way, I'm not against, let's just make it clear, I am not against weight loss medications for the right person. And even if somebody chooses to be on it, they need to know what they're getting into. Okay. You need to know that it's going to be more of a challenge to eat the calories necessary to build muscle and protein to build the muscle. There's going to be challenges involved. So I'm not against, okay? It just has to be done with a lot of thought and consideration and medical expert oversight, okay? And have a coach that can help coach you through all of these things. Coaching. So ask yourself, what is a short-term result going to get you? And is it going to get you the long-term result? It's funny. It also makes me think about, I know I've mentioned this in the past too, when I would I remember saying to myself, I really wish I could just snap my fingers and be fit, lose the weight, and be there, like done, right? Done deal. And that's great. It's a great thought. But the thing is, who you become along the way on your health and your fitness journey, that really is the part that is the most rewarding of all. And so if you were to snap your fingers and have these short-term results, you would not have the skills to maintain it without the external things like weight loss medications. And you would not have the strength and repetition in your brain to overcome things, to be stronger and understand things, and becoming that rockstar fit woman that you want to be. It's not going to happen without taking the long road that requires doing the work and the effort, and then the rewards of who you are becoming along the way. And we're always changing and becoming a new person. I know you're still you, but it's the best version of you. It's a better version of you. And you just keep evolving as you face these things and change over time. So ask yourself, what am I forfeiting by doing a weight loss medication? Right? Because that would be the shortcut and quick fix. Again, if that's you, okay, that's only you can decide that. I'm not here to decide it for you. So what we need to think about are the habits that would be required for you to establish little by little. So a little will become a lot. And that would give you shifting of your mindset, right? Because it takes changes in our patterns of thought to create these habits, to keep showing up, not perfectly, but consistently. And then that's going to build the lifelong result that I have a hunch that that's what you really want, because that's where the power is. Now, like, you're not afraid to gain weight anymore. You have the skills, you have the tools, and you have shifted your mindset. You think completely differently. You have become the healthy, fit woman over time because you have put in the effort and the work, and it does take courage. I'm not going to sit here and tell you it's easy. It takes courage, but you can do it. You can do it. And empowerment. This empowerment that I'm talking about equals ownership. ownership over your journey. You did this. You can totally take all of the credit. And again, I'm not talking about those of you who needed to go on medication. You're still taking credit for putting in the effort. And I want to make that very clear that even if you do take weight loss medications, but you're putting in the effort, you can own the effort. You can own the work that you're putting in. Okay. So I'm not denying you of that, obviously. So ownership and not shortcuts. You decide. Okay. All right. And now this brings me to, this is a very special time of the year. And that is if you didn't hear the last episode, or you haven't been quite being able to see things because of the algorithm online, we're coming up on my next free Rockstar Body Jumpstart challenge. And it's my 7-day Jumpstart challenge to help you come in here and get a taste. Just get a little taste of what it's going to be like to start taking some steps. This is your opportunity to do something that is out of your norm. It's different. It's scary. But I will tell you right now that it is worth it to start taking the steps. And so I want to invite you to learn more about the Jumpstart Challenge that's coming up. We're starting on September 15th. So the time is running out to get in here. Please do it. Do the thing. Even if you did Jumpstart before, come on in here. You're going to love it. We're going to have a great time. It's great reminders of things and helping you. Maybe just a fresh start for you. This is not starting over. This is a fresh start. So come on in here. I'm happy to have you. We're going to be doing 3-day-a-week strength training inside of the Rock That Fitness app, where you can do either dumbbell and band program, or you can do a full gym access program. So wherever you're at, whatever level you're at, come on in and experience getting some strength training, a structured strength training program where you're going to learn what it means to have a structured strength training program, learn what it means to build muscle and get stronger and how to do that. And then I'm going to do some live training also a couple of the nights, a couple of the evenings during that free week of the challenge. I'm going to be going into some nutrition stuff and definitely, I'm not going to go without talking about mindset, because that is the key to your long-term results. All right, girl. Thank you so much for listening. That's pretty much all I had to say today. And I hope that this was helpful to you. I hope you think about shortcuts, quick fixes, versus taking full ownership and learning that you really can. If you think you can't, then you can't, right? It's that whole Ford quote. If you think you can, you're right. If you think you can't, you're also right. And so it's crazy, but the mind is truly the most powerful thing that we have, and we can build it, and we can get stronger in mindset, and you can do it. And come hang out with more of us who are doing it, because you need to be, surrounded by those of us who are doing it, doing the thing, getting results. So you can be around us and be inspired, encouraged, and know that it's okay to mess up, to fail, because it's just feedback, and you're getting stronger, body and mind. That's it. So I just want to remind you that it's all about getting stronger, staying consistent, working on our mindset. And all of those things are greater than any shortcut or any quick fix that you could ever try or do, because it's always going to bring you back to square one. The long game is where it's at. And the long game is really the most efficient, fastest way to get to the results of being healthy, strong, lean, and fit as a woman over 40. So again, go check out the show notes. The link is going to be in there, and come join us for our next Rockstar Body Jumpstart Challenge. I hope to see you in there. And thank you for listening, girl. I love you so, so much. I hope you feel encouraged today, wherever you're at on your journey. Just keep on going. Self-care, self-love all day, every day, in every way. Do I have your word? I almost forgot to say that. Do I have your word? Good. Rock on.